How to make a digital painting. File New, Photoshop. I chose Web as my preset. And under Window, you want to make sure that your history is checked. Your history will allow you to go back and undo mistakes. You also, under Window, want to check your layers and you want to check your tools. So Window Layers, Window History, Window Tools. I open up Google and I'm going to type the person I'm going to draw. You could also use a photo of yourself. When you use Google, you want to make sure that whatever image you choose, you click on it first to make it large. And once it's large, then you drag it to the desktop so that it's not pixelated. Now I drag it into Photoshop, I stretch it out so it fits, click, click, click to make that X go away. Next thing I'm going to do, layer, new layer. Okay. I'm going to call this layer Trace. I'm going to go back to my photo layer. That's the layer with the photo that I put. And I'm going to turn the opacity. You see the opacity here where my mouse is? I'm going to turn it down to about 50%. Then I'm going to go to my trace layer and select it. I'm going to go to the paint box and I'm going to make sure it's black. You see it's black. And I'm going to make my size really small and I'm going to go to the paintbrush. So I've got a black paintbrush. I'm going to do like size 1 or 2. And there I'm going to just very carefully trace what I see. You can always, make your paintbrush a little bigger or smaller. You can also zoom in, which might be helpful. Go to View, Zoom in, and then you'll have a much better look. So. Now, just as a reminder, you can always, in the layers, go to the original photograph, hit the eyeball, and it will shut off. And then you only see what you're drawing. So I like to, every so often, shut off the photo layer so I can see how my digital painting is going to come out. Now, before I color in Megan's skin and hair and eyes, I want to get the right color. So I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type hex code skin color, HEX. And that's going to give me computer numerical values for skin color. So you want to look at the skin palette and decide which skin color you'd like, if you want a darker, lighter, whatever. I'm going to go with this one. So I take the code and I copy it here, Command C. That's the color I want. And then in my toolbar, I go to the top box and there is a space for hex code and I'm going to paste it there and there's the color that I found. From there, I go to my paintbrush and I'm ready to color in her skin color. Don't worry if you go outside the lines, you can fix that later using the eraser tool. You can also, if you want to, just make a layer just for coloring. Here I have a layer just for coloring, and then it'll be on a different layer than the trace layer. The advantage is if you color, it won't cover the black lines. You just need to remember to put this coloring layer underneath the tracing layer. You got to actually move it. And then the trace lines will be on top of your coloring, so you won't erase the trace lines. And just as an FYI, you can also go to Google and type hex code hair, hex code eyes, and you'll get all the different palettes with the code next to it, the hex code, which you just copy and paste into your colors on your toolbar. Another way to match the color is, if you don't want to do the hex code, you can go back to the original layer with the photo. There it is. I'm going to turn my opacity to 100%. And I'm going to take the eyedropper, which is in the toolbar, and I'm going to click on her skin. Now, your skin is always different colors according to the light, so you decide which, part you want. I'm going to use that eyedropper, and then the color will change to that color. I go to the paintbrush, and I color it in. And notice that I use the magic wand. I click on her face with the magic wand, and it kind of highlights. It's just a trick to make the coloring a little bit easier. You don't have to do that. So my photo layer, the eyeballs turned off so I can see what I'm doing. And I just keep doing the same thing. Go to the paintbrush, change the color, paint, paint, paint. Go back to the color box, change the color, paint, paint, paint. So I'm going to add a colorful background, and the way I do this is I do layer, new layer. I'm going to name it color background. You can call it whatever you want and hit OK. You can see it in the layers. There it is. I'm going to select the magic wand and select my trace layer, magic wand. When I click the magic wand, you'll see that the picture will be outlined. I call that the marching ants. And once the magic wand outlines the drawing, I go to my paint bucket. I make sure I'm on the color that I want, and I click, and the background will be that color. Don't forget to file and save, or you can take a screenshot, and there you have it, the digital painting.